what do you earn on average? And would you attribute your success solely to your social media efforts?
When I was doing the trading part, if you take 4.2 million, I believe it's around 350,000. Obviously it depends, but if we had to average it out, it's like between...
Ladies and gents, it is an absolute pleasure today to sit and speak to Heinrich van Loggerenberg, or Hein van Loggerenberg. I found this gentleman on TikTok as well, and because, I'm enjoying the social media at the moment, I started watching him, and I was quite impressed. This young guy that's doing funny things, jumping on his bed and making jokes about his weight, and in between he's putting in all these videos, and I thought to myself, this guy must be doing something right because he's got 20,000 followers himself. And I thought, I want to speak to him because we have a situation in our financial services industry that we do not have youngsters coming into the industry. And there's a great need for youngsters because I think the average age in South Africa of financial advisors is 61. Yeah. That's scary. That means that 5 or 10 years from now, you're going to have to deal with AI because there's not going to be enough financial advisors. And we have such a wonderful industry. That's my personal opinion. I love it. So I asked Dwayne to come in and have a chat with me today. And I've got a few questions that I want to ask him. So, Hein, let's start off with the most basics.
Yes, let's go.
Where were you born, young man? Go to school? Did you go to university? How old are you? Give us the basics of Hein van Loggerenberg.
All right, basics. I was originally born in Pietersburg, and then my parents moved to Linwood in Pretoria. Didn't really know Pietersburg myself. We moved here when we were young, when I was young. Parents got divorced back then. So lived with my mom in Kilner Park for a large period of my upbringing. And then in 2007, I believe, we moved to Linwood. And so that's where most of my life happened. So I went to Linwood Primary School and I went to Menlo Park High School. Currently I'm 22 years old. I haven't studied. The plan would be to study somewhere in the future, but that was never my first option when I was thinking about what to do after school. I've always believed that there's a lot more out there and you can study. I wouldn't study to go into a profession that I study. I would study to gather the knowledge. That's my conviction regarding that. So yeah, I haven't studied yet, but somewhere along the line I would like to study.
Okay, well, I think studies are overrated. That's my personal opinion. If you look at statistics from America, South Africa, in terms of the amount of people, kids that go into studies and then they kick it, they don't finish it, or they go and study and they get their degree and then they don't end up working in it. I think studies and a piece of paper is overrated. So, mate, I agree 100% with you. Yeah. So, you're 22 years old.
Correct.
Financial advisor.
Yep.
Making it big. Fantastic. So you mentioned that you started trading after school. So tell me more about that. How well were you doing and why did you decide to do that and then to leave that?
That's always a difficult thing to explain to people. So I've actually started trading in just when COVID started. I believe I was around grade 11 back then. And I remember this so vividly. I was sitting on my couch at my mother's house and I saw a video of trading and I saw people make money. I'm like, why can't I do this? And it was at the time, since we had lockdown, we didn't have access to anything out there. So this was the easiest and the thing that was in front of me. And I decided to delve into it. I opened a demo account and I made some money. They gave you a free credit to trade with. And I made some money, and I think I withdrew within a week. I withdrew 8,000 rand, and it was purely luck. Don't get me wrong, it was purely luck. But there was something that happened on the inside of me, and I was like, maybe this is real. Maybe this is a thing that I can pursue. And I started delving into it, started educating myself, watching YouTube videos, all that, and I started doing it. So every bit of money that I would get, I would turn my mother's arm and I would tell her, "No, I want shoes or something," and she'd give me 1,500 rand. I put it in there.
You would be trading instead of
I would be
shoes.
trading, and I lost a lot of money. I lost every time I lost money,
Okay.
and
So it didn't go as well as you thought.
at
It
this
started
initially,
well.
yeah. But I knew that was the thing. The anchor point was that 8,000 rand that I withdrew, so I knew it was possible.
Yeah.
And so somewhere I was in a car accident when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And so when I turned 18, there was an amount of money that paid out from the road accident fund.
Okay.
Right? And I used that money. I was like, I'm going to trade with this money. I'm going to use this. And I made a lot of money. I traded. I made a lot of money, but I was young, so I was using it on the wrong things, and I was right. And
Sounds familiar.
that's what it is. And eventually, greed caught up to me because now I'm this 18-year-old. I'm in school. I'm making a lot of money, and I was. You have a bad day or you have a bad week, and it caught up to me, and I knew I had this money from the road accident fund, so I would lose a trade, then I would deposit another 70,000, and then I would keep on, and I found myself in a place where I would constantly convince myself that you can make this up, you can make it back, and it turned into gambling essentially. So I lost that money, right? And I stopped trading for about a year, and then when I was somewhere around 19, more to the end of the year, I started trading again. And that was when I discovered not Forex, but synthetic trading, right? And over that December period, I made the most money I've ever made. It was at a point where I made almost 40,000 rand a day in that December, right? Wow. And that's when I started to pursue synthetics. And from that year, so when I was 20 years old, in that financial year, I made around 4.2 million rand.
Goodness, bro.
Yeah, so that's where we at. That's the trading journey. Why did I stop it? It's difficult for me to go around the bush with the story, but I'm going to say it like it is. I have a very, very passionate love for Christ, and I pursue Him earnestly and eagerly. And so my life decisions revolve around Him. And it revolves around my calling in Christianity. So I was at a moment, it was in a moment where God told me to stop doing it.
Oh, awesome.
And I couldn't understand why, because often He does that. But I do trust Him, and I do have faith that He will be faithful from His side. And that's where my financial industry or financial career started. I left trading, deleted all the accounts, drained all the accounts, and within that same week, somebody called me and they were like, "Do you want to become a financial advisor?" And yeah, here we are now.
Well, that is absolutely an awesome story. And for you to have so much faith to listen to God's word, I think that is fantastic, because there's so few people that actually become, I don't want to call them Christians, but become believers and then actually listen and follow that. And I'm no one to speak, but I think that maybe why God decided that you shouldn't do synthetic trading and come into financial advice is because a financial advice industry is a people serving industry.
Yeah.
And that's most probably why, synthetic trading is me, myself, and all the money I can make.
Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome story. Awesome story. So, you started creating videos, okay? Did you do that already when you're in the trading industry?
Yes.
Okay. And did that help you when you were in the trading industry?
Yeah, 100%. I think because I'm a young person, I obviously find myself on the social media platforms as well, and I find myself scrolling. And so the people around me also, so I know kind of what their behavior is like, and I know how often they are on social media. So I started doing that back then because I saw the opportunity. If everybody's eyes are on this phones of ours, it would just make sense for me to be on there.
So so you used the social media opportunity to market yourself, and it's working for you. You worked for you when you were doing trading. It's working for you now as a financial advisor. And it makes sense. I think there's a lot of people that don't understand that marketing is most probably one of the most difficult things in the world. From my old generation, cold calling was the in thing.
That was the thing.
It was the thing. And I mean, if I look at some of my peers, people same age bracket as me, maybe even a bit older, they're still clinging to that old cold calling concept. And when they've got new advisors, they still go through the old principle of make 100 calls, get 20 people to make appointments, go and see 6 right to. Oh, and it's so outdated. So people don't move with the time. So I think for you to not only as a young person being on social media, but realizing what the absolute magic of it is for you to put yourself out there and to market yourself, I think is great.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's important with regards to it is that when you do put yourself out on something like social media and you make videos, yes, you build a following. Yes, you get people that want to talk to you, but you suddenly also have to be more accountable.
Yeah.
You cannot say one thing in videos and be somebody else in life.
Yeah.
It catches up very quickly to you. So I think from that point of view, I think it's actually good. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. So what's next here? So you've been making videos for a while. Okay. What you have achieved in terms of your social media following, quite remarkable. So what I want to ask you is, what do you earn on average? And would you attribute your success solely to your social media efforts? Or and I really don't expect you to put down here you're earning 110,564 Rand a month.
Yeah.
But I want to know, are you making a good living? And if you want to share a figure, that's also welcome.
Wow.
So that's basically where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
How well are you doing? And do you contribute the success mainly to social media or other factors as well?
That's a good question. So I'm going to take a bit of a backtrack and a bit of a loop.
Absolutely.
And try and land and put this airplane down. So, when I was doing the trading part, if you take 4.2 million, I believe it's around 350,000 Rand a month. And that, being a young person, I managed to quite build up some large living expenses.
I'm not surprised.
And so
I'm not surprised.
So when I made that decision that I'm going to listen to the call of God, I knew at the back of my mind I have these living expenses that are creeping up, and there has to be provision for that. So to give you an idea, my living expenses, and this might be a lot because I've heard other people's living expenses, but my living expenses are around 50,000 Rand a month. That's just for me to live, to pay my rent, to pay my car, to eat, whatever. In terms of what I earn now as a financial advisor, it obviously depends, but if we had to average it out, it's like between 90 and 100,000 Rand. Okay. Yeah, that's what I earn right now.
Okay.
And where we're at.
And like I said, do you attribute the success mainly to social media? Or do you have other avenues where you've been finding and recruiting your clients from?
No, this is purely social media.
Purely social.
There's no other way. Of every client that I see, every interaction, it comes from social media. So 100%. And I believe that. I believe in social media with everything.
Yeah.
Because most of the population is on their phones for at least 4 hours a day. So eventually somebody's going to see my videos.
Yes.
Eventually somebody's going to see my face on a thing and financial advisor. So 100%. That's where I source my clients from.
Okay, fantastic. Well, once again, this is what I'm trying to get out there. I feel that social media is a wonderful place to interact with people because everybody seems to be, that's their social place. Yeah. We don't have rise and beers with buddies as often as we used to in the past. The social place is now there. So then use the social media at the end of the day to benefit you, be that just to be social or in order to move forward in your own practice. Fantastic. But I want to ask you a question because this is something that I have experienced, but I want to know if you've experienced it. So, with your social media, have you learned a lot about our industry since you started making videos? And have you learned, let's go there first. Have you learned a lot about our industry because of your social media videos?
100%. I think almost everything that I've learned was from there, and it comes in various ways. Obviously, you begin to there's algorithms that play a part, and so once you start making those types of videos you post it, you begin to see other financial advisors, and you listen to this guy speak about this, so you learn something there. And for me, when I started out, well, I'm still doing it now, but our wonderful friend ChatGPT is very, very good at writing scripts. All right,
Absolutely.
so I often, if I don't know all of the info regarding a certain thing, I would just ask ChatGPT to fact check it and write me a nice script. And so then I begin to learn that script, and I listen to it and I read it, and I'm like, okay, now I've learned this, now I know this. So the next time I interact with a client, I actually know what I'm talking about regarding this certain product or this certain law or whatever it is. So literally 95% of what I know and what I've learned is because of it.
So, how long have you been a financial advisor now?
It's now about a year.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this, because I mean, when you come into the financial services industry, you have to go through certain courses.
Yeah.
You have to learn what the risk products is about, what the investment products is about. You get sent to attend some schools, some courses, whatever the case might be. So if you have to compare what you learned through the training program, if I could put it that way, that your company has put you through, if you have to compare what you've learned through the training program there versus what you've learned coming out of social media, where did you learn the most?
Definitely from social media, no doubt about it. And I think you've mentioned earlier, you compared the older generation to our generation. Obviously, our generation faces different. There's a different kind of way that we do life, and there's so mainly with my generation, our attention span is shorter because of social media, and because of all types of instant gratifications that are available and accessible that was not available in your time. So the way that we do learn is not going to be from reading a book or from doing a course, or it's often social media, because people would much rather watch a video and they learn something on this video and it entertains them. So yeah, definitely from social media.
The reason why I'm asking is what I found with regards to my social media is I had an interview with somebody else who asked me how long I've been in the industry, and I had to sit here and work it out, and kind of worked out that I've been in the financial services industry for about 34, 35 years. Not only giving advice, but also a bit before that. But in any case, and I thought, listen, yeah, I know this subject, man. I'm sure I'm up there. I know pretty much what's going on in my industry, so yeah, I can advise other people. And then when I started doing the social media, the questions that people started asking quickly sorted me out. I had to quickly go and find some specialists, speak to them, find out more about this, find out more about that. And I think personally, my knowledge has expanded substantially in the last 12 to 18 months that I've been. And that's why I asked you the question, because I think it's an awesome learning curve that one goes through. People think, yeah, I don't want to do social media. I don't want to put videos out there because I don't have a face for it, and I don't want to market like that. Man, it is the most beautiful thing at the end of the day, that if you do it from a learning point of view, it's awesome, because you are being challenged on a constant basis by people. Okay, fantastic.
Might I want to add something to that.
Please do.
So you mentioned something now about the questions, and this is something that I like about the social media and how it challenges you. It gives you kind of a flexibility and a grace to learn, because somebody goes to a comment section on a video, they post a comment, you can see the comment, and before you answer the comment you can do your research.
Exactly.
And obviously you want to sound as good as possible, you want to give them as good and accurate as possible answer on what they ask you. So
exactly.
if they post that comment or they send you a WhatsApp, you have time, you do your research, you actually learn, you gather that knowledge, and now you can give them a proper and a well thought out answer. So, yeah.
And I think the benefit to this is, if I look at myself, once again, I don't want to, I keep on giving my age away here with when we were younger. But we were reliant literally on investment seminars. We didn't have webinars then. You had to go into a classroom or whatever. And we were reliant on something like investment specialists coming to talk to us 3 or 4 times a year. And you would understand how the product works, but you would not know what is happening in the markets, for example. And if you listen to those guys that came 3 or 4 times a year, that was the only extra learning that you did.
Yeah.
Now, with social media, like we said, with AI and whatever the case might be, people asking questions, you are forced to go and do your research, like you say. So I think you are learning much quicker. Guys that are in your situation are learning a lot quicker. I think you guys, being younger, can most probably learn in 2 years what took my generation 20 years to learn.
Yeah.
Which is an absolutely great advantage, and something that needs to be used and needs to be pursued. Talking about social media and it's just something that popped up now. Talking about social media and AI, Google, ChatGPT, the whole thing, and looking at where the world is going. Why would you think, or what would you say, what would be the reason for financial advisors still having a place in the world and not being replaced by technology?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think people always want some sort of human interaction. So, although I think AI will replace majority of the steps and processes involved, I still think people would like to have a human interaction. So I think that a big part of it is you have emotions connected and you feel this person actually understands what I need. It's not just giving me a textbook answer, which AI would obviously do. So I think that part, that human interaction, that heartfelt care that you give in your advice, I think that really is going to separate people and allow advisors to actually still be relevant as AI continues to grow and further itself.
Your answers almost 100% exactly the answer I gave to somebody else and what I believe as well. Because I do believe that AI and technology will give you the tools to go and do the calculations, which can be absolutely spot on. But it cannot take those human emotions into consideration. And for a financial advisor, I think that's one of the most important things, especially if you go and do a planning session for a client, finding out from the client what their absolute needs are. And if you talk to somebody, you come to realize for this person, it's more important to make provision for retirement for whatever reason. Or this person is more worried about his wife and kids being left destitute if he passes away. So life cover is more important. And those things AI can't do. Those things technology can't do. And I think even if we go into the future, I don't care how good technology gets. I don't think it will ever be able to do it. And if we get to the point that it can, then I suppose we're all just going to be without work. And the machine's going to have to provide for us. Oh, fantastic. So we've spoken quite a bit about the social media and everything now. Would you recommend that other advisors also start using social media to promote themselves, their companies, and their products. So is that something that you would promote or that you would advise advisors to do?
You know what? I would make a promotional video to tell them to do it.
Good, good.
I'm very much for it. I hope everybody that hears this is inspired to actually begin doing it. I was thinking this whole time of how I was going to say this, because I was thinking about that earlier. And it's kind of like somebody giving you a shovel, dropping you off at a mine and telling you there's gold right here, you can just go and dig. And you're choosing to not do it. It's literally what it is. So yes, I would 100% recommend that. I would urge them to do it. and the thing is, I don't know, I don't understand, because you mentioned it earlier that they're scared to put their face on a video or what. I don't understand that, because you're going to sit with clients in any way. So you're going to see people in any way, and then you might as well have the argument that you can't go out anywhere in public because people are going to see you. It doesn't make sense. So, yeah.
So I'm going to put this thing out to you that I found completely weird, but I'm going to ask you this in any case to get your opinion about it. So some of the advisors I've spoken to say, well, number one, I don't want to put my face out there. But number two, if all advisors start using social media and putting videos out there, before we know it, the market's going to be flooded, and then there's going to be no sense in doing it. There's going to be no benefit in doing it. So why should I do it as well? So what's your opinion? Because to me, that's a pretty senseless argument. But in any case, what's your opinion about all financial advisors getting onto social media and putting videos out there?
Yeah. So I think it's a lot like, it's the same as you could say, like, you can't start a clothing brand because there's thousands of clothing brands out there. But still, you have a Nike, you have a Puma, you have a Adidas, and all of them are successful. And I think it's the same as if you were to sit in front of a client, that client has probably been contacted by a financial advisor a couple of times, right? So why is that client going to choose you? And that's something you have to figure out, because that's where you have to be creative. That's where you have to build an audience. You have to build excitement for people to watch your videos that are going to set you apart from the other ones. And I think that's why a lot of advisors, even those who don't have social media, struggle, because they come with the same approach. They come with a textbook approach to a client and think they're going to get a different result.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a better product necessarily or a better price that's going to sell the client. It's going to be the way that you interact with the client, the way that you market yourself at the end of the day. Because the majority of the times, clients don't buy a policy. They buy you.
Exactly.
So
100%.
it's the same thing. If you can be creative on social media, you're going to stand out.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to do a textbook thing and stay the same and follow these rigid structures, you are not going to be successful in it. So as long as you are creative in the way that you do it, there's no reason for you to do it. The thing is, I think it's extra work. And I think that's what catches a lot of people, because people see the videos and they might not be proficient with technology or with whatever, and they see it as so much effort. They don't want to do that because they're fine with where they are. They're fine with just doing their cold calls and getting their appointments, whatever. So I think that's also a thing. People are not willing to put in the effort to actually study and learn what it's like to be, or what I need to do to be successful on social media. And that's why they have this underlying thing in their mind that I'm not going to be successful because there's so many people. But if you really put your mind to it, you're going to be successful. That's what I think.
You're absolutely spot on with what you're saying. I think you've nailed it. I think you've nailed it 100%. So let's move away from the social media just a little bit. I would like to know from you, what advice would you give a young person who is considering a career in financial advice today?
What advice would I give a young person?
I mean, you've only been in the industry for a year. So strictly speaking, I should not be asking you this, but I mean, you've been successful enough in here, so that's why I feel I can ask you.
It's a weighty question. I think this is a thing that I had to check myself on early on. You have to be very, very disciplined, because in the industry, it's very easy for you to become lazy, and it's very easy for you to become dependent. And what I say this, certain companies offer you certain structures, and they give you leads, and now you only start to rely on those leads, and you become lazy. And then comes a month where there's no leads, or there comes a month where the leads don't answer, whatever the case might be. Then you're so lazy and reliant on another man doing something well to give you a bit of the pie, that you didn't do effort from yourself to actually build a client base and get people. So that's one thing I would say to younger people is be extremely, extremely disciplined. And go all out. Don't treat it as a side hobby. Don't treat it as a just another thing, or just a temporary. Treat it as something. This is what you do. This is now what we are in. Yeah.
I think one has to, you have to have a want to do it.
Yeah.
If you're just going to do it as a job, not going to be successful. But if you do it because you want to do it, and if you do it with discipline, like you say, it is so rewarding to be in our industry.
100%. I want to add something to that.
Please do.
I just thought about it. I think to be honest with yourself, to constantly be honest with yourself. And I found that with some other colleagues that I've seen now over some time, it's very easy for you to lie to yourself. You can be busy and not be effective. And that's the thing where people catch themselves. They find themselves, they work the entire day, but they were not effective in what they do. I've called this guy, I've done this, but in fact you were busy. You weren't being effective. And that's where you need to catch yourself and be honest with yourself. Am I actually doing the most that I can? Am I treating this client, or am I treating this case, or am I treating this scenario as it is precious, as it is something that I need to protect, something that I need to further? And that's a big thing, I think, to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you you speak towards my company and my people, and we've got 5 laws that we have in our company. It's up on a board. This is our 5 laws, and this is by which we give service. And when you talk like that, you speak to what our beliefs and integrity is in terms of our 5 laws. So I agree with you 100%. So a couple of other questions I want to ask you is with regards to you're putting yourself out there. Have you faced any serious criticism or challenges with you being out there?
I think so. It's a difficult question, not difficult at core, but difficult for me to word. I think there has been some criticism, but I'm very, very, I brush it off my shoulders.
Okay.
So occasionally there's a guy that is upset and his wife argued with him this morning. So he comes onto TikTok and he leaves a comment, "John, another one of you." So there are those people, but I don't mind them. I just brush them off. I usually like to reply with sarcastic comments. It's always fun for me. Somebody says something stupid, I would say something stupid back. Apart from that, obviously where I go, and it's a bit weird for me, but people begin to somewhat recognize you where you go. It's not that I'm the next Dwayne Johnson with a following, but I do have some following.
Yes.
And
20,000.
20,000, yeah.
Yes.
And some of my videos have gone quite viral. So I've recently there was one of the teachers at my primary school that I went to shared one of my videos on their teachers group chat, and one of my friends is a teacher at that school, so I saw that and he sent me the conversations they're having. But at the end of the day, I see it as it's just more marketing.
Absolutely. What what did I say? Even bad marketing is good marketing. Something to that effect. So what I wanted to ask you next is in terms of our industry now. Do you have any mentors or role models in our industry who have influenced you? Um, who have influenced your approach to business, should I say, and content creation? Do you have any specific people on, or is it just okay? Well, the other financial advisors I'm finding on on social media.
No, so the my franchise director currently with Discovery, I think he has a very, very large impact on the way that I think, on the way that I do things. And he is still more of the old mindset, like you go and knock on someone's door and so it's very new for him to, when I tell him, he tells me you have to go and see this person, I'm like, I'm going to call this person. So just for example now, so he does it in a way. When he tells stories, he makes you so engaged with the story, and he gets you to sit on the edge of your seat. And always gets me with my mouth open, and it would be the most basic thing that he's explaining. But he explains it so well, and he creates such rapport in the story that I'm like, wow, I want to listen to this guy. And so, with that being said, I've taken that and I've kind of learned and rubbed shoulders with him a bit. And the way that I now speak to people, and the way that I converse and communicate a story or communicate the value of a certain thing to a person has changed drastically. And that has inspired me, and it's motivated me to keep on bettering myself, keep on being a better advisor.
Well, that's absolutely awesome to hear because number one is in your corner.
Yeah.
He's supportive. Like you say, the older generation, not many are going to be that supportive because they're still clinging to the old ways. So for him to be that supportive, number one, is fantastic. Absolutely, kudos to him. And the other thing is for him to be so engaging, like you say, with his stories and everything, that means that he's a good mentor.
Yeah.
So, man, very good. I'm glad to hear that you looking up to him absolutely being worthy of that. Congratulations. What would you say is the biggest misconception people have about financial advisors?
Sure. I think that's a good question. I think people often think they equate financial advisors with, oh, he just wants my money, and I think they always
so true.
they always see the paperwork already. They see the effort and the medical test, and they see all that already. And I think that often has a some type of cognizant effect in the way that people think and the way that they interact with them, because in the back of their mind, they already think, oh, this guy just wants my money. There's 7 of them that called me this week. They all just want my money. They all just want to sell a policy. Although there is a large part of advisors that do operate like that, I don't think everyone is like that. I think there are some advisors, and it is the minority, unfortunately. That's what I think, at least. That genuinely care about the advice that they give, that genuinely care about your needs. So I think it's just a matter of finding the right advisor. Take the 7 calls and find out which one actually cares. Because I've spoken to one of the people at my church, and he told me this. He said, it's one thing to check up on people and to just send them a message, but it's another thing. People can feel when you genuinely care. They can sense a genuine, heartfelt care. And I think that's what catches people. That's what's going to differentiate you, to not be a part of the status quo or the misconceptions that people have regarding the industry. And just while we're on it, that's also a large part and a big motivation factor as to why I use social media, because I'd like to change that standard. I'd like to change the misconceptions and change people's perspective on it. And it's you're never going to do that with seeing people in person. No. You're going to do that 1 year, 1 year. But if you reach 500,000 people and they begin to follow and they begin to see what you like, they begin to see how you think, how you feel, that all of a sudden begins to do something in their mind, and they begin to view things a bit differently. And what a greater platform. It's my 12 o'clock alarm. And what a greater platform to do that than with social media.
Yeah.
It's the easiest way to reach the most people and be the most effective. So, yeah, that's what I think.
I think you once again touched very truthfully on something, is that yes, there are financial advisors out there that are just policy salesmen, and then there are financial advisors that care. And I think as well that people should just go out and find the right person for them. And I think that also that if we can change, like you said, the social media, getting more people to follow and to see, listen, yeah, this person really cares, you're going to change the industry to the extent that you will get rid of the policy salesman and you will sit with true financial advisors.
Exactly.
Well, one last question, then we're out of here. What is the dream for Hein going forward? What is Hein's dreams?
The dreams. Are we talking financially specific in this industry?
I don't care. Give me, what is your dreams? What is your goals into the future? I don't care if you talk financially, if you're talking relationship. Just tell me, what's the dream going forward?
Now I could start speaking for a long time. I could keep you here for a long time. No, so as I've mentioned earlier, my primary focus and my primary calling is with God and with the church. So that is my first and foremost priority, and I think everything else flows from that. If that, because I'm going to say it like it is. You can cut this out if you don't like it. Jesus calls it himself the living water, and he says that everyone that is connected to the vine will bear much fruit. And so in the same way, as long as I am connected to the vine and that is firm, everything else in my life will automatically begin to bear fruit. Yeah. So my first and foremost priority is to be as invested as I possibly can and to be as on fire Christian as I possibly can. I'd like to one day be a pastor. I'd like to preach. That is something that is a very big aspiration for me. And then from that, I'd like to obviously build my financial practice. And the nice thing about the industry to me is it does give you some flexibility. So if I have to be at church, I'm not forced to go into an office, and so that's a main reason why I find the industry so nice as well, because it does give you the flexibility. Church, I like to build a practice. I'd like to get married, of course. I do have a girlfriend at this time. If things do go well and God permits, we would get married and have a family, build a family. I'd like to have a couple of boys. Naughty boys.
Awesome.
And really just be as impactful as I can wherever I go. For me, the best thing for me is to see someone's life change. I've seen it time and time again. And while I'm on it now, there was a certain homeless guy. This is the first time I've ever told this to someone except for my friend. There was a homeless guy on the corner of Menlo Park. I think his name is Yaku. Okay. And he was an ex-golfer. He did well in life, started doing drugs, started losing everything. Okay. I met him at a garage station one night, right? Mm-hmm. And I was on the phone. I was about to go and buy a drink or whatever. Okay. And he asked me on the corner of my eye, so he asked me for something. And I just shrugged him off. And I'm like, I'm on the phone. ek sal nou weer uitkom. And the Lord convicted me in that moment, and I put down the phone. I was like, listen, I'll call you back. And I went to him and I literally just gave that guy the gospel. I told him, I'm not going to buy you anything because that's going to benefit you now. But the gospel is going to benefit you then.
Okay.
And I gave him the gospel, literally. And now it's about 2 years down the line. Somebody, my friend that I told that story to, sent me a picture of him. He now has a job again. He has quit doing drugs. Has his own place. He's healthy. He's going to the gym. He's gained weight, and all that because of one night that I chose to give that guy the gospel. So the point that I'm trying to make, I'm making a large story about it. The point that I'm making is to see that happen. That's the best thing for me. So
Absolutely.
if I can be as effective as that wherever I go, in every circle, in every conversation that I have, in every seed that I sow, in every, whatever the case might be, I want to be as effective as I possibly can. And I want to be the reason why somebody thinks God is still good.
Gee, what an awesome testimony. What an awesome dream. What an awesome goal. I take my hat off to you. Kudos to you, mate. Kudos to you. I take my hat off to you. And yeah, I reckon we've got our first official pastor financial advisor sitting here.
I'll take that.
I was speaking about David Ramsey earlier on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever read his books, but go and read a book of David Ramsey. Go and search for David Ramsey as a pastor. He's a full-time author of financial books, getting out of debt, becoming wealthy, and then he uses that and he incorporates that into a pastoral, how do I put it? I don't know what the English is, but he actually pastors at churches where he shows them how good financial principles comes out of the Bible, and he uses that to actually get people out of debt to help them to become wealthy. So go and look at, watch Dave Ramsey or read a book on him, and I think that is kind of your future, the South African Dave Ramsey coming up.
Hey, I'll do it.
And thank you very much, mate. I really enjoyed meeting you. I'm glad that we touched base, and I'm sure we're going to chat a lot more in the future. I hope we will.
100%.
And but once again, thank you very much, and all the best to you. May God bless you in abundance.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the privilege. It was a privilege and an honor for me to be here. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers.